NATO chief says Donald Trump is putting allies at risk by saying Russia can do whatever it wants. This was in response to Trump claiming that if he is president, he will not protect NATO members from a Russian attack if they don't contribute their due share to NATO. While U.S. President Joe Biden has called the comments appalling and dangerous, some of Trump's fellow Republicans have also criticized him. Our next report tells you more.
I said, you didn't pay, you're delinquent. No, I would not protect you.
NATO cannot be a la carte military alliance.
Well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay, you're delinquent. He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills. And the money came flowing in.
The comments drew a swift rebuke from NATO and US allies. The White House says Trump's comments encouraged the invasions of our closest allies by murderous regimes. Trump sparked outrage among Western partners after suggesting the United States might not protect NATO allies, not spending enough on defense against a potential Russian invasion. The head of the NATO alliance says any suggestion of allies not defending each other could put the lives of American and European soldiers at greater risk.
Let me be sarcastic. During this campaign, we will see and listen to many things. Let's be serious. NATO cannot be a la carte military alliance. Cannot be a military alliance that works depending on the humor of the President of the US on those days. It's not yes, now yes, tomorrow no, it depends, who are you? Now, come on, let's be serious.
But according to NATO's own figures for 2023 spending, 19 of its 30 member nations are spending well below the target of 2% of their annual GDP on defense. Among them are France, Germany, Denmark, and Norway. With the war in Ukraine soon to enter its third year, the European Union is trying to step up support for Kiev as they fear that Moscow might expand the war. European nations have significantly scaled back defense spending in the years after the Cold War. But the war in Ukraine has raised the stakes. But now the big worry for Europe is if a re-elected Trump would withdraw from the alliance. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Okay, well, for more on this, Adelle Nazarian, Senior Media Fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy, is joining us live from Washington, D.C. Adelle, great to see you and happy Monday. During a Sunday show yesterday, GOP Senator Marco Rubio defended former president's comments saying that the U.S. did not leave NATO during Trump's presidency. What do you make of Trump's statements?
Hi, Suzanne. Great to be on with you again. Happy Monday. I really think that Rubio was spot on. President Trump did not leave NATO, as Senator Rubio said, when he was president, and he would never do that if he is to secure a second term. In fact, when President Biden says, and I quote, "If my opponent Donald Trump is able to regain power, he is making it clear as day he will abandon our NATO allies if Russia attacks and allow Russia to do whatever they want with them," he is lying. That's absolutely not what he's done. In fact, if we look at it, Trump was making that comment in response to putting pressure, which is a tactic of his, one of the way he speaks, to bring pressure on other countries to do the right thing, as they should do, was to have them pay their dues, which is at least 2% of every European NATO allied country's GDP towards that alliance. And what he did was in fact, him putting the tensions and the pressure on these neighboring NATO countries. He was successful. In response to the pressure, they did actually increase their spending, and I guess mission accomplished. He definitely, his words have impact, and so I think Rubio was correct in his analysis.
And how is what Donald Trump is saying different with what many past presidents have said, that America is just paying too much for Europe's security?
I have to say, the specific framing of the issue is America paying too much for European security. It's been most prominently associated with Donald Trump, President Trump's administration, as you said, but it's not the first time, and it won't be the last. If you look at it historically, Suzanne, it was President Barack Obama under his presidency. He also urged European NATO allies to increase their defense spending. He did mention the need for NATO members to meet their commitment to spend 2% of the GDP by 2024. And of course, Trump was able to accomplish that before that mark. George W. Bush, when he was president, also encouraged European allies to contribute more of their own defense, particularly in the context of military operations and NATO missions. However, his administration's focus was more on the operational contributions and on direct financial criticisms. And during Bill Clinton's tenure, he also they pushed heavily for NATO expansion and for European allies to take on greater responsibility for the regional security, particularly in the Balkans. So his administration was more focused on a shared responsibility and gave direct criticism over spending. It was less pronounced. But just because President Trump has been the most vocal and maybe more aggressive and forward, non-diplomatic, if you want to say it that way, which it is, in his approach, they're just choosing to point the finger at him and saying that he's the big bad, the big bad boogeyman. But in fact, he's done more in terms of protecting America's integrity when it comes to this, and not placing unfair and undue burden on one country when it should be an equal effort for everyone at the table.
Yeah, very true. Adelle, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for that thorough analysis, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you. Likewise.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.